Till now, I only made clothes for women, but I figured men need clothes too. So today I'm gonna make a pair of shorts as a gift for my boyfriend. Materials you're gonna need are first of all a pattern. You can either use mine, trace one from a pair of pants you own, or just use a different one you can find online. You're also gonna need some fabric. This is the one I'm using. It's a blue linen, and just make sure that it's breathable, comfortable to wear, and preferably not stretchy. For the waist, you need a 4 cm wide elastic, and you can also use a ribbon or a shoelace to tie around the waist. Now that we have all the materials figured out, we can start cutting out the pieces. While cutting, always align the side seams with the grain line of your fabric. If your fabric has a pretty and a not pretty side, make sure you're always cutting out the left and the right piece. If your fabric has a print that is directional, make sure it's always facing in the same direction. This way it's not gonna look weird in the end. Now you should have 2 front pieces, 2 back pieces, 4 pocket pieces and a waistband. And the first thing we're going to sew are the pockets, and I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm going to sew the top stitching around the opening of the pocket, but I'm just going to figure that out later. And first I'm just going to sew the pocket as a normal inseam pocket like you would usually do on a skirt. Take the 4 pocket pieces and put them right sides together to the side seams of the front and back pieces. Stitch them in place along the side seams with a smaller seam allowance than you usually use. This will make the seam less visible in the end. Afterwards, zigzag stitch the area to prevent it from fraying. Fold the pocket towards the outside with a seam allowance facing towards the pocket and properly press it. Top stitch the pocket to the seam allowance. This will have the same effect as understitching a neckline, so the pockets won't peek out. Take a front and back piece and place them right sides together. Align them along the pocket and the side seam and sew them together. Zigzag stitch the raw edge and press it. I then decided to sew the pocket curve a second time to strengthen the seam and make sure that the pocket will last long. The pocket is basically sewn in. I just have to close up the rest, and I think I know now how to do it and how to do the top stitching. Close up the little areas above and below the pocket opening. Press the pocket opening nice and flat. Mark a line 1 cm away from the pocket opening and connect this line with the edges of the pocket opening. Make sure it's symmetrical on both sides. Sew along the line parallel to the pocket opening. Only sew through the upper part of the pocket so you don't close it up. Next, sew the short lines connecting the previous seam and the opening. These ones you're gonna sew through all the layers. This way the opening gets very strong. Lastly, give it a good press. The pockets are sewn in, and just look at how clean this pocket opening looks. It looks just so professional. By the way, if you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you. And I'm also very curious to hear what you're currently working on, so just write that in the comments as well. Anyways, let's assemble the pant legs. Align the inner leg seams of both pant legs right sides together, sew them together and zigzag stitch the edges. Press the seam allowance towards the front and top stitch it down. Now you're gonna have 2 pant legs. Turn one of them inside out and put it around the other one. This way the pant legs are right sides together. Align the crotch curves, make sure the inner leg seams line up and sew them together. In the front we're creating a fake fly, so just sew around this area as usual with a 1 cm seam allowance. Then of course zigzag stitch it. Turn it inside out and press the seam towards the left side, making it go on in the front, creating the fake fly. Just look on your pattern how wide the fly is supposed to be. The pant legs are done, and just look at how well the inner leg seams line up. I think I have never managed to do it this precise yet, so I'm getting very excited. Let's hem them. First, fold and press the edge in about 1 cm. Then fold and press it again for about 3 centimeters. To make the 3 centimeters as precise as possible, I made this little tool from paper to be able to put it in the fold and easily measure out the 3 centimeters along the way. And made from paper it worked okay, but it was very floppy, so if you're making this, I would recommend to use cardboard or just something with a little bit more structure that can also take the heat off the iron. But if you have enough trust into your eyeballing abilities, just eyeball it. Next, we're going to sew the hem in place from the outside. First, put the piece under the sewing machine with the folded side facing up. Position it in the way you would sew it. Mark with tape how far away from the needle the edge has to be. Flip the piece around so the right side is facing up and sew around the pant leg. Always align the edge with the tape. If you work precise while pressing, you should always catch the fabric on the other side. Hemming is done. If you're enjoying the video and like what I do, definitely subscribe to my channel so you won't miss anything. I have very amazing projects planned. Right now these pants are looking so massive, but that's gonna be fixed with an elastic in the waistband. But first I'm gonna sew 2 little openings into the front of the waistband to be able to thread a drawstring in there, but that's totally optional. Find the center of the waistband and make a mark 3 centimeters down. Then go 2.5 centimeters towards both sides. Make sure the 3 centimeters are still correct, and this is the midpoint of the buttonhole we're gonna create. I made mine about 1 centimeter high. It's the first time I'm using the buttonhole setting on my sewing machine, so I first did a little test piece and the first buttonhole was looking very ugly, but the second one looked fine, so I went for it. First I sewed towards me, then a few times left and right, then away from me and again a few times left and right. I sewed around every buttonhole 3 times. The buttonholes are sewn. If you want to, you can now open the buttonhole with a seam ripper, but I'm gonna do that later because I haven't fully decided on whether I like the buttonholes or not. The next thing we're gonna do now is to attach the waistband. Put the waistband right sides facing on the waist of your pants. Make sure the buttonholes are in the center front and close to the waistline of your pants. Pin it in place and figure out how long your waistband has to be. Sew the 2 ends of the waistband together, zigzag stitch it and press the seam allowance flat. Now you can fully pin the waistband to your pants. Sew once around the entire waistband. Now we're gonna press the waistband. Flip it up and press the seam allowance towards the waistband. Fold and press in the other edge of the waistband about 1 centimeter. Then fold and press the waistband in half, covering the waist seam with the other side of the waistband. Pin the waistband in place from the outside, right underneath the waistband. Make sure the fabric is gonna get caught when sewing. Now, very carefully and slowly, stitch in the ditch to secure the waistband in place. Make sure to leave a gap to be able to thread your elastic in there. The waistband is sewn on and I just gave it a really nice press, so now I can put everything into the waistband and finish it off. Now take the elastic, put a safety pin on one end and thread it into the waistband. Pin the ends of the elastic in place and try on your pants to make sure the elastic is the correct length. If it's correct, sew the ends of the elastic together, cut off the excess, close up the opening and top stitch around the bottom edge of the waistband. Keep in mind that the elastic gets a bit more loose by top stitching it. Then, if you want to, open up the buttonholes and thread a shoelace or a different piece of cord in there. Position it so it's the same length on both sides and sew it in place in the center back. This way it won't slip out and always sit in the perfect spot. It is finished! And I think they are looking exactly like the original, which I'm pretty proud of. And I'm also still very happy with my fabric choice, especially because it was just so hard to find a fabric that seemed just right. I just hope so much that it's going to fit and I can't wait to give it to him. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you being here and hopefully you want to watch more. And right now, without further ado, let's have a look at the finished pants. hope you like watching my videos, and if you want to see me make another pair of pants, you can watch this one where I make some wrap pants, or if you want another great gift idea, go check out this video where I show you how to paint on your clothes. See you!